The American left shied away from socialism even as it took off around the globe. We're not socialists, they say, we're just liberals. Now the situation is reversed. Socialist governments are collapsing around the world because the economics don't work. We know that for certain. But here in the United States, Democrat after Democrat proudly pushes a socialist agenda.
Tell you what I believe in terms of democratic socialism. I agree with what goes on in Canada and in Scandinavia, guaranteeing health care to all people as a human right.
I think undocumented people need to have a means by which they can be covered when they're sick.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
Okay. Author and columnist Mark Stein joins us. So, Mark, with the perspective that you have on the rest of the world, you're seeing lots of, even the left in Europe is saying, maybe open borders doesn't work. Maybe we can't afford a welfare state, for the entire world. And yet, why is that message not filtered down to liberals in our country?
Well, because I think there is a huge constituency for it, and I think it's very different from the way socialism took off in Europe, for example. Socialism got hold because you were a coal miner and your family had been coal miners for generations and you were going to be a coal miner all your life, and so you wanted to organize to protect the economic security of being a coal miner. And just as in the modern era, America has helped China find the only economically viable form of communism, so at home it has had a knock-on effect, and we now have a kind of prosperous people who've had one of the most privileged upbringings of all, who are socialists, because as you were talking about with your previous guest, they spend 6.5 years getting a worthless piece of paper, which leaves them with 6 figures of debt. So that means that they enter adulthood ever later. We now have huge numbers of people in their late 20s and early 30s still living with their parents, traipsing up the stairs every night to the same bedroom they slept in when they were 7 with the teddy bear wallpaper. Yes. And so we have deferred adulthood. And when you maintain people in adolescence, it's not surprising that an essentially adolescent political philosophy like socialism retains a grip on them. 1970, I think it was 60...
Can I just pause and acknowledge that's deeper than anything I've said in a long time? That is so smart. You're exactly right.
No. Well, it goes back to what you were saying about family formation. In 1970, 70% of 25-year-olds were married and had a family, and that's fallen by more than half. In other words, the Churchill line about how if you're not a liberal at 20, you have no heart, and if you're not a conservative at 40, you have no brain. We've actually extended that lower limit so that by maintaining people as children until their late 20s and early 30s, why be surprised that something like socialism has an ever greater purchase on them?
It's totally true, but we're robbing them of life's great pleasure, which is becoming an adult.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's at the core of it. And Ian's solution, if we just had more government credits for this, so you could hire somebody from Yemen or Venezuela to look after your child, that doesn't correct the problem.
No. Hiring other people to raise your kids is not the answer, obviously. Mark, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
Well, in case you've been gone for the last several years, not so long ago, all of official Washington insisted the Russia hoax was absolutely real. Now they're demanding we believe that the investigation into that hoax is fake. It's a conspiracy theory. Okay, we'll get details after the break.